What's going on, everybody? In this video, I am going to talk about why record stores are essential in 2025. And I wanted to start this video off by asking ChatGPT the same question. It spit out a list for me. I'm going to read it to you. It gave me a few bullet points. It says preserving musical culture and heritage, fostering local communities, music lovers and local artists, the joy of discovery, self-discovery and staff recommendations, unique shopping experience, sensory and tangible, counteracting digital overloads, screen-free sound quality, economic and environmental impact, and cultural relevance in the streaming era. Now, all of those things are true, but that was kind of an ironic way to start this video because I am actually going to be talking more so about the negative effects of AI and more specifically algorithms on us as human beings. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any videos I put out. There's a ton of videos and essays and thought pieces about AI and why it's destructive and algorithms and all of these things that are very prevalent in our lives today. I am going to approach it very specifically from the lens of music and even more specifically from the lens of a record store owner. AI is taking over. It's actually crazy to think about what AI is going to be like in the next 10 years with how fast things have advanced to this point. I mean, I can't even use Facebook anymore. Not that I really wanted to. It's basically just overrun by fake pages. It's fake pages made by bots that are literally just spitting out AI-generated images, whether it's recipes or fake movie posters, that either tons of bots are responding to or really old people that are just falling for it, which is really frustrating and sad and not good as time goes on. We're having trouble differentiating which content is real and which is fake, and that's bleeding over into music as well. AI music is getting so indistinguishable that I've seen recent reports of news outlets reporting on the leaks of certain songs by certain artists that are very clearly AI generated. I saw something that was a clip of some online news show where they were showing off a leaked Frank Ocean song, which was very clearly just AI, and they didn't treat it as such. It may start small now, but imagine when full albums are coming out that sound exactly like your favorite artist, but your favorite artist had nothing to do with it. Is that something you should be listening to? Is that something we should be appreciating? Probably not. But more specifically than AI, I want to talk about algorithms and how they're stripping us of our own autonomy without us even realizing. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably a vinyl collector. And if you're a vinyl collector and you listen to your records, you are already one step ahead of the majority of human beings. You are taking your own taste into action, which is a beautiful thing, and kind of the crux of this video as to why it's so important to have places like record stores in 2025. Radio has been a big thing for a long time. People listen in their commutes to work, whatever it may be. And the radio is not something you can choose and elect what you listen to. It's just the same songs that the DJs play, unless you have a specialized station that's about discovery. The top 40 radio is just going to be the same songs regurgitated over and over again. And there's a reason that those songs are the top 40. It's because they use something called the mere exposure effect. This is a phenomenon that has been looked into by all kinds of psychologists and scientists to figure out exactly what's going on, but the very layman's gist of it is the more you listen to something, the more you're likely to have a positivity bias towards it. So basically, if you listen to something long enough, you're probably going to start to like it in some capacity. That's just the way our brains work with repeated exposure. It's kind of like a similar thing, not quite the same, to Stockholm Syndrome, which is where captives start to sympathize and root for their captors. It's kind of like an interesting way the brain reforms itself to kind of make its own judgments, protect itself, whatever it may be. So radio's been doing this for a long time, and that's why certain songs that a lot of us are just so annoyed by, your average person hears 15 times a month when they're driving to work, and by that 15th time, they're knowing all the words, and they're in their head I like that song, but it might not be a good song. And that being said, I don't want to also crap on people's music taste. I'm not trying to say oh, if you like top 40, that's garbage. I like plenty of top 40 songs. The issue is more so what's happening with things like TikTok. I'm not going to be a vocal dissent of TikTok. I use it. I love it. I think it's a great app for a lot of reasons. I also think it's extremely detrimental to society in many other reasons, and that's the ones I want to talk about in this video. Here's my question. How can the average person who scrolls on TikTok and, isn't maybe huge on discovering music and doesn't music isn't a huge part of their life, but they like music, how are they supposed to know what their music taste is when they're being fed their music taste endlessly. They're just thrown down the water slide face first over and over and over, splashing directly into whatever trending sound is happening in that moment. And it's just an endless thing they can't get out of. We are losing the art of the full album, something that I champion very hard as a record store owner and a big fan of vinyl, in lieu of not just songs, but snippets of songs. Little danceable, replicable bits of songs that you can hear 500 times on your TikTok as everyone does lip syncs or dances or whatever it is to that song until the next one comes along. And then that song, shot into the stratosphere, never remembered again. There is an ocean of endless content, but the problem is, with stuff like TikTok and the algorithm being as good as it is, we are no longer choosing what that content is. It is telling us what we should be listening to. And because of the mere exposure effect, the average person's taste is becoming whatever is popular on TikTok. It is, oh, I love that song. I heard it 100 times last week on TikTok, and it's a great song. But they're not going deeper and finding out, oh, what else does that artist have? Or what other music is out there that's similar that I might enjoy? It's just being force-fed your own identity. And I think that's a very dangerous thing, as algorithms will continue to kind of take a grip on our lives in so many ways that we don't even realize. This is something that's a little scary, in my opinion. I think that as humans, one of the most beautiful things we have is autonomy and also the ability for individuality. And I believe that algorithms are in place to stifle our own individuality and force us into these kind of rhythmic patterns of absorbing content that is being fed to us because that's what we want to hear according to it. And let's talk about the further homogenization of society. Stores are all starting to look the same, and that look is extremely sterile and boring. Do you remember fast food from the 90s? Even if you weren't alive then, go back and look at pictures of like a Taco Bell in the 90s. It was visually wild. There were all kinds of colors and shapes, and it felt like it had an identity. Every single fast food place now looks identical. No matter which brand it is, they all have this very cookie cutter, clinical look to them with a very simplistic logo that's minimal, and none of them feel like they have an identity. It feels like, oh, this is what you have to do to be successful in this space now. Coffee shops, same thing. Coffee shops used to have this kind of zany decorum when I grew up. Now they're all these like kind of like exposed brick or exposed tile with like certain kind of lighting and these like wood countertops, and it feels like they're all becoming the same thing. Now, most record stores, on the other hand, have not fallen prey to the homogenization of what most things in society are starting to fall into. Sure, every record store is going to be fairly disorganized, cluttered, full of music, art, and things of that nature, but they're all done in a different way. The decor often mimics the taste of the people that are running the store or own the store, but they're also reflecting the champions of the people that walk into the store to be relatable. I have very purposefully made my store a reflection of me, from the art I have on the walls to the figurines in the cabinets to the cozy rugs and the couch. I wanted my store to feel like a place that you could hang out, but it also had its own identity. So what am I saying with all of this? Well, I mean, I think the message might be fairly simplistic on a base level, but I think it's worth diving into and seeing that if it isn't happening to you or the people around you, it's definitely happening on a global scale. And this is your best way to fight back. Making sure that you're making your own choices in your own life, especially about what you're listening to, about your own music discovery and your own music taste. Make sure that you are choosing what you're listening to and it's not being chosen for you. And one of the easiest and best ways to do that is to collect records. This is one of the last vestiges that we have as society to fight back against the algorithmic current. Having a record collection and actually listening to it allows you to take the wheel of your own life and actually figure out what you like and have a manifestation of it that isn't told to you by a screen or a computer program. And having a record store to go to helps you escape the monotony of the world that's being formed around us. If you're watching this video, like I said, I'm sure you're a record collector and you do support your local record stores. And for that, I speak on behalf of the community and say thank you. But we have to be careful that we don't slide into something where we lose the ability to have this cultural autonomy and be able to really express who we are without having someone tell us who we are. So what are you waiting for? Go buy your friend a turntable. Let's start the revolution now. This has been just on my mind lately. Very curious what you all think about this. Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts. If you agree, if you vehemently disagree, I'd love to hear why. And let's just make sure that we still take charge of our own lives. And my favorite way to do that, spinning some records. Thank you all for watching this video. More coming soon. Take it easy.